Hello my lovely internet friends, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title today, I'm going to be talking about my experience with acting school. So if you didn't know, I went to acting school for 2 years and here I am now. If you follow me on Instagram, I went on my stories to tell you guys that I was going to film a video and it was going to be in 2 parts. This is that video, obviously, that says part 1 in the title. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should follow me at Lauren Audrey J. I do a lot of updates on there and just more interaction with you guys. Anyway, I've got some notes for this. This is what was taking this video so long to do because those 2 years I was in acting school were quite hefty. For some reason I was going to say, let's pray before we start. So this first video is going to be about my acting school, like my one specifically, how it ran and everything, and my experiences there. It's not going to be everything. I'm only going to pick and choose some experiences that really stuck out to me and really is ingrained into my memory forever. And then the second part, which I will upload later, is going to be more about post-acting school and where I'm at now, having experienced that. Let's get into this video. It's probably still going to be a long one, but there's a lot to go through. So I went to AIMDA for 2 years. It's known as the Australian Institute of Music Dramatic Arts, formerly known as ARDA, Australian Academy of Dramatic Arts. So yes, ARDA kind of joined with the Australian Institute of Music. They specialize in performance and musical kind of degrees. Everyone might think, oh, 2 years, you're so lucky. No. We weren't lucky. It would have been better to be 3 years because it is actually a 3-year course and it's all squished into 2 years. So imagine all you guys are doing 3 years at uni at the moment. Imagine all that being put into 2 years. That's what our course was, and I think they have now changed that since we have left, which is good because we were dying. It was grueling. It was... oh my goodness. Anyway, I'll get into that later. I came straight out of high school and went to AIMDA, so I knew I didn't need an ATAR. I still did my HSC, which looking back, I think was really stupid and pointless. If you're on year 10 at the moment and you're thinking about your senior years, try your very best to think about what you want to do in your life, especially if you're really certain. There are some degrees out there which I think it's really beneficial to do the HSC and get an ATAR. And there are some, like mine, that's a complete waste of time. To get into AIMDA, it is based on an audition that you do, but they also do ask for your ATAR. My ATAR was really low because I didn't study, because I didn't care, because I knew I didn't need it. So I graduated high school in 2014, started AIMDA in 2015, and officially graduated in 2017. It gets a bit confusing because we did officially finish at the end of 2016 and didn't continue in 2017. But our actual official graduation ceremony and certificate says 2017, which makes sense if you're saying the 2 years. Our year group specifically started out with maybe 60 students, maybe even more. I honestly think it was more, but I cannot remember. And by the end of the 2 years, we were down to 19 students. And 2 of those students went with us in our first year. Someone transferred from another uni, I think, and someone else was from a previous year and wanted to finish the degree with us as well. So technically, us who lasted the entire 2 years were 17 people. And I'm not shading anyone who dropped out or anything, because a lot of people did drop out or took a break. Actually, I don't think anyone took a break from our year group. I think some people said they were taking a break and they were gonna continue the course later, but no one from our year group actually did that unless they're planning to do it in another 5 years' time. A lot of people who did drop out did it for health reasons or financial reasons. A lot of them were living on their own, had to support themselves and didn't have time to go to work because of uni. Especially our uni was really tough, and you'll see why. Yeah, a lot of people, they had their own personal reasons for dropping out, so it's no shade onto them. I was fortunate enough to be living at home, so of course that plays a big role. I don't need to pay rent or anything. My mum was very, very, very supportive. In fact, my mum is Asian. Surprise if you didn't know, I'm Asian. And this is not to be racial stereotypes. It's just a general thing that happens. Most Asian parents want you to become a doctor or a scientist, dentist, all those super smart kind of people. And obviously that's not me. I went to acting school. I was extremely blessed and fortunate to have my mum who was totally supportive of me going to acting school. So when it came to the majority of what our work was at uni, a lot of it was physical work. It'd be getting up, doing things on the floor, not sitting at a desk and writing or listening to a lecture. We definitely did have classes like that, but that wasn't necessarily the bulk of what we were doing. But yeah, we did do some essays and your typical kind of like paperwork assignments, but it wasn't your typical university degree. Our campus was separate from the rest of AIM, and I think it's because our course was originally its own thing and then it kind of tagged along with AIM. So we were in a place called the Pilgrim Theatre, which is in the city of Sydney. Our year group lived out those 2 years in the Pilgrim Theatre, and then the following year they all joined together because AIM finally decided to renovate and make space for the AIMder kids. Pilgrim Theatre really holds a special place in my heart, and when I was writing out my notes, I was actually getting emotional thinking about it, because our blood, sweat and tears, like literally blood, sweat and tears went into that place, and we transformed the spaces to create such beautiful things. I'm so happy that it was our year group that got to live out those 2 years there, because the year below us, they only had 1 year there and then they moved over to the other campus. So yeah, we were the last year group to really live out the whole Pilgrim Theatre. We worked in trimesters, and these are the classes we had every trimester, no matter what. I mean, they always evolved and changed as we developed our skills, but these were the ones. So I might be missing some, probably am, but I tried finding everything, and my memory these days is just not the best. We had acting, which was for theatre, movement, voice, improv, theory, repertoire and ensemble. Those were our consistent classes that happened throughout the 2 years, that happened no matter what, but obviously they chopped and changed according to our skill set and development. So now I'm going to tell you how our weeks were basically running. A typical week at uni would be coming in at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. That's right, every single day, just like school, but longer hours. But with repertoire, the class repertoire kind of speaks for itself. You would build up your repertoire and knowledge of the theatre, plays, playwrights. The way that repertoire worked is that you would be scheduled on for acting and presenting if you were in first year, and then the second year you'd be on for acting and for directing. You'd be given a play, you have to choose a scene from that play. It would be that one class where the whole of AIMDA would be together. So first year and second year would be working together. If you were on repertoire for that week, or depends how prepared you were, you would have to stay back and do your own rehearsal in your own time. It's like doing a group assignment. So if you were on repertoire, you would typically stay past 6 o'clock, go and rehearse in whatever space was available. And days like that, I'd either be home like at 9 o'clock or past 9 o'clock, which was basically a 12-hour day. On top of that, if you had your end of term performances, which got more and more intense throughout the course, sometimes we'd get home at midnight. So we'd be there 9 o'clock or even earlier to make sure everything was running smoothly. I remember some people coming in at 7 o'clock, we had to do meetings and everything. So 7 o'clock, and then you'd be home midnight or past midnight, depending on where you lived, which I lived 45 minutes away. Speaking of, let's get into my experiences. So for me, I don't live close to the city. I don't want to live close to the city. Not a big fan of the city. So I always went on the train to go to uni. I woke up in the morning, went on the train, 45-minute train ride. When it was daylight savings, it would be nice and easy when I was walking home because, you know, it's not dark at 6 p.m. during daylight savings, so I could walk home. But then during winter, when daylight savings disappeared, then it would get dark a lot quicker, and getting home, it would be dark. so I'd need someone to pick me up. My mum usually picked me up, but sometimes she couldn't because, well, she had to be with my little sister, and my older sister would have been out or something. So Roger would have picked me up, my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, kind of. We started dating when I was in uni, so that first year of uni, in August. So that's when we officially started dating. It kind of was more like when I graduated from school to the beginning of 2015. So the end of 2014 to the beginning of 2015 is when Roger and I started talking and becoming closer to each other. If you guys want to hear more about our relationship and the story of how we got into a relationship, I could do a video on that if you're interested. But yeah, he was very, very helpful when it came to this late night, because he still does this thing where he stays up very, 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 very late in the nighttime, and he's just used to being a night owl. It was extremely helpful for me and for my mum as well, that Roger was available to pick me up when I got home really, really late, especially on the days where I was home at midnight. I would have to let my mum know, because then obviously she'd be worried, because who gets home from university at midnight? Acting school kids, that's who. I didn't live far from the station at all. It was like a 10-minute walk, but I do remember specifically this one time when I was coming home from uni. I think it was one of my typical days at uni. I went to call my mum to pick me up, but when I was leaving, I had realized that something was going on with my phone. My data wasn't working, my calls weren't working, my text messages weren't working, and I had no idea what was going on. This was more of a time when data was kind of scarce, and if you had like 5 gigs of data, you were really, really lucky. Oh gosh, I sound so old. But yeah, none of it was working. I couldn't contact my mum, and I was like going home on the train, and I was just like, what is going on? It's gonna get really dark and I can't walk home. I got home to the train station and I tried using the payphone. Never used a payphone in my life. I didn't have coins either, so I couldn't use the payphone, but the payphone had Wi-Fi somehow, but only if you were with Telstra. And I was not with Telstra. So I had to walk home because I had no choice and I couldn't contact anyone. Let me tell you how terrified I was to walk home, because I was a young 18-year-old girl walking home in the dark, and my suburb did not have the best reputation. It was scary because it was so dark, it was late, and I'd never done it before. Anyway, something happened with my plan. I think I forgot to pay it or something. Anyway, I got home safe, and honestly, God was with me that night. I lived very close to a school, and that night there was an event on at the school, so if anything had happened, I could have gone there. It's not like it was quiet and no one was around. There were cars, there were families when I was walking home, and I didn't even know. I didn't even know until I walked there, and I was so grateful that God was with me during that time. When I was going into uni, I knew 100% I was going to be a bit different. When you go to a private school, that's something that they prepare you for, to be prepared for the outside world because of your faith. So I knew I was going to be different, because I knew that the industry I was going into was extremely secular, but I wanted to do it anyway because I enjoy performing so much and I wanted to do it to glorify God. But lucky for me and my friend, God was on our side, and someone who got into the course as well in my year group, her name is Shoshana. Shout out to you, Shush. We were the two that were pretty much the only devout Christians there. And the funniest thing was, I actually had met Shoshana previously without knowing that I met her, because she was best friends with someone who went to my school and was in my grade. We actually met each other at our mutual friend's 16th birthday party, and we didn't even know that we met each other. We realized because we went to the same audition day as well. Just crazy. And that's where we figured out that we actually already knew each other. It was just so bizarre. Yeah, we were basically the only devout Christians there, and I use the word devout very specifically because there were some people in our course who called themselves Christians, but obviously showed that they weren't living out Christ and only lived by the label Christian. I'm not saying this from any place of judgment, just solely off of observation and what I know to be biblically true. I am very bad very bad at essays and writing and all of that stuff. I am not so much a wordy person, I am more of a practical person. I, like most people, hated essays and hated theory. Theory isn't bad, it's just my personal experience with it. I'm not good with it. Theory is really important because it's so important to know about how things came about, why it came about, who was involved, what happened, all that stuff. So if you're going to any industry, it's always nice to know the history of the industry. There you go. But yeah, I think I only really hated it because I knew I was bad at writing essays. No matter how much I tried to improve my essay writing, my poor little brain could not comprehend it. I'm pretty sure in those classes, I learnt how to sleep with my eyes open because there were days where I don't remember a single thing, but I remember the class finishing and that was it. And I was never told off for sleeping, so my eyes must have been open. If you yawned, you'd get in trouble because it's rude, which understandably. If you fell asleep, again, same thing. And I remember someone falling asleep and then they got told off, but I was never told off. But I cannot remember what happened. So I'm pretty sure I was there like this and my brain clocked out, but my eyes were still there. I understand the whole it's rude to yawn and fall asleep while someone's doing their job and presenting to you and trying to teach you. But I don't think anyone necessarily meant to do it because they were bored or wanted to be disrespectful. It's just that we were so tired because the course was so draining and so demanding. For me specifically, I think I was seen as the quiet, intelligent one, and not in a way to toot my own horn and say I'm so smart. No, but that's, I feel like, how I was seen, and there's a reason for that. Specifically in this one class, and this was our first trimester. We were doing some background work on our characters for our very first play, and mind you, I was playing a dead girl, and I'm pretty sure I only had one line. So yeah, I was in the corner doing my own work by myself. I clearly remember someone saying, and I remember who said it as well, something along the lines of, Lauren is just in the corner there curing cancer. So that's the place I'm coming from when I say quiet but intelligent. I mean, there's always that one person that everyone's kind of sus about, and I think that was me. During my years at uni as well was kind of when Snapchat started booming, and it was before the time of Instagram stories. I was dubbed the Snapchat queen because what I would do is Snapchat people's faces and put filters on them, and they would have no idea until they looked at my Snapchat. But on top of that, I used Snapchat a lot to show my feelings. I used Snapchat a lot to express my feelings and show what was happening in my life. I'll put some snaps over here somewhere. But yeah, Snapchat really was my thing during uni, and especially on the train. Because there's so many people on the train going to and from the city, I would put filters on random people and kind of make up stories about them. And I never understood how people could sleep on the train and then wake up at their stop. But I became one of those people. Also, another thing that was booming at the time, Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go actually launched while I was at uni, and I remember we were all playing it and one of our teachers what the heck is wrong with you guys? Another thing I was kind of the queen at was physical theatre. We did a lot of physical theatre, and because of my background in dance, I was kind of the physical theatre queen, which only one person said, but everyone kind of knew that physical theatre was my thing. There was someone else who was absolutely fantastic at physical theatre too, because she also had a background in dance. And so our two brilliant minds combined, and we created a piece together for our kind of final performance thing. So this was our first trimester at uni, and the voice class we had, the teacher's name, I'll call her Jackie because... Anyway, back to the actual story. There was this one class, I think it was the mid-trimester, and she, for the entire class, she wanted to do this kind of reflection and update us on how she thought that we were all going with her class. She had her little MacBook open, and she actually had notes on each person in the class and how she thought they were going. And she didn't do this one-on-one individually with each person, she did it in front of the entire class, so everyone could hear what she thought about each person during her class. Every single person got criticism except for me. And I didn't ask for it, I wasn't aiming for it. I was told, you're doing so well, you're really good at this class, blah blah blah. She just gave me good things, whereas everyone else was, you're doing this too much, you're not doing this, just kind of negative things. Someone was told that they need to work on their giggling because they giggle too much. But coming out of that class, I felt extremely awkward because I was the only one that didn't get criticism. Everyone else, they felt like it was really unfair, and it was unfair because some of the criticism they got just was so invalid. It was over something small like giggling. But I understand why I didn't get feedback like that, and it's because my background growing up, being trained in performing arts, my discipline was quite strict in some senses, and also my mum when it came to schoolwork and stuff like that. So I was quite disciplined, and it's not to say that everyone else wasn't disciplined, it was just that the discipline that I learned growing up was very, very different and not necessarily for the better. It was too serious of a discipline. So yeah, that was something that was really, really big that I learned from my peers, just to let go and have fun sometimes when you're doing things. I remember the time that I thought about that specifically. I needed to let go, and I needed to enjoy and embrace my time there, and they really did show me that. So while some of them, yes, definitely needed to work on their discipline and focus, I needed to work on not being too serious and to learn to have fun during the process. Another fantastically known thing was that I was, and still am, quite heavy-breasted. And I know this is a really, really random weird thing to bring up, but this one story, I have to say it because it's just too funny, but I do have a smaller frame, not tiny, but like compared to my situation up here, quite small, especially compared to my butt. I don't have a butt. They already did look big, but they also looked bigger because I was a bit smaller. But I remember there was this one class where we had to create a short kind of like physical piece within a few minutes, and two of the boys for some reason got on the topic of my breasts. They weren't being rude, they weren't being misogynistic or anything like that, nor derogatory or anything. In fact, I still think to this day it was really funny. And one of them said that they're so big that they're basically like planets, and then the other one followed on with they could basically have their own moons orbiting them. And then they proceeded to run around me like they were the moons orbiting me. I just had to say this story because to me it was just something that I remember, and it's just funny to me. I don't care if they're making jokes about me like that. I just thought that was something that was really funny, and it wasn't necessarily like the time that one of my Christian friends told me that I should work at Hooters because I have heavy breasts. That is something I got offended about. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want me to do more stories about my life, I'd be more than happy to. Just let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell icon so you know when I post. I do post every Friday fortnight at 5:30 p.m. Thank you again so much for watching. I love you all and have a wonderful day wherever you are. Bye!